Hey there everybody. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of learning how to play cribbage. So I had this board in the mic test video recently, and it's a cribbage board. So today we're going to learn how to play cribbage, and then soon we'll play a whole game together. But just for those of you who don't know how to play cribbage, we'll go over the rules a little bit. This is more of the scorekeeping device, and then the main game is played with cards, and it's a unique game in that there's not really another game like it to my knowledge, but it's probably a medium difficulty to learn. So some of it is straightforward, some of it is not. To do one round or one hand of cribbage, there's kind of two parts you can break it up into. So first, to begin, since it's just two players, me and you, we get 6 cards each. So you wouldn't show your cards to another person, but since this is learning the rules and demonstrations, I'll flip both sets of cards over, and then that goes there. And traditionally, after the deck is dealt, the other player will cut the deck and take the top card, flip it over, and put it on top. Now there is a rule about if you flip over a jack, the dealer gets a point, but I've never played with that with my friends. There's a bit of a modified version you can play. But now, we are, at this point, we have to discard 2 cards. And to decide how to discard them, you gotta know a little bit of the strategy and how scoring works. So for the first round, or first half of the round, I guess you can say, as we break it up into 2 parts, is the pegging part, which is where we play all our cards down in a specific order. And the main scoring methods in this game are getting to 15 points or 31 points. And you also get points for having a pair, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, and then a straight or a run. So that's just like 3, 4, 5. Face cards are worth 10, ace is low, so it's worth 1. And you want to be able to make as many scoring combinations as possible. So this hand is very unique in that there's 3 and 2 pairs. So you get a pair, and a pair's worth 2 points. So 3 pairs, 2, 4, 6. And then this side doesn't really have a whole lot. Kind of a bad hand. But if you had something, let's see, let's say if you had this in your hand, this would add up to 15. So you'd get 2 points for adding it up to 15. And then since you have 2 4s in your hands, this is 15, worth 2 points, and then you swap the 4s out, so that's another 15 for another 2 points. So you get that for 15s and for 31s, but you kind of pick your hand of what you want to discard and what you don't want to discard based off of what was dealt and how many point combinations you think you can make. There's strategy, and I don't know the full strategy. I've played this a few times, probably like 10 times or so. I don't know the strategy too well, but what works, you know? So when we pick these cards to discard, you pick 2 cards to discard, and then they'll go into over here, which is the crib. So what the crib is that the person who dealt will get the crib at the end of the entire hand, and that is the discard cards, so 4 total, 2 from each person, and then whatever the card flipped over was. And then they will count up and see how many points they can get in the second part of the round, sort of style. So I don't have anything in my hand that I can notice. So this is kind of a junk hand on my side, and this side has 2 3 pairs, but only 2 you can kind of keep. So I'm just going to randomly pick to get rid of the ace and the 2. And then we'll have... You wouldn't want to get rid of both pairs because I dealt, so this would be giving them points for free. But for demonstration purposes, we're going to do that. So they're discarded, they're flipped over, unknown to everybody for now. And now we do the pegging part, which is what you can think of as the first part of the round. So what this is that everybody has their own cards, and you usually can't see them. So we would have our cards held up, hidden from each other. But the person who didn't deal will start, and what they do is they play 1 card at a time. So they could start with 9, and then they would say 9. And the goal of this part is to just play your cards, and it's a running count up to 31 max. Excuse me, I still got a sore throat. So it's a running count up to 31 max. And the way you get points is again by getting to 15 or 31, or if you put down pairs or straights or anything like that. So we'll have this hidden. I'll put the cards on here as the plays. So that'd be 9, and then I could play something next. I don't have anything low enough to get to 15, so I'll just play whatever. I'll play an 8, and I would say 17 because you say the running total. So 17, and then play another 9. This would be 26, and I can't play anything that would keep the total count under 31. So I say go, because I don't have anything I can play. Jeez. So because of that, you get 1 point for being the last card played. And this is not a pair because it goes 9, 8, 9. But we keep the piles separate because we take our own cards back. So if you were black, you would get a point for being the last card. So now the count resets. So since you went out last, I get to play first. So I could put down a 10, and I'd say 10. You put down a 7, say 17. Put down a king, which is worth 10, so I'd say 27. You would say go because you have a 7, and that's not some under 31, so I get 1 point for being the last card again. So you would go first. Since I went out, you'd say 7, I'd say 17, and I get a point for being the last card again. And these pins are used for the scoring. They're called pegs, and they're used for scoring. So basically, how you read this is the furthest pin along the track is the score, and the back pin is your previous score. So now the second part of the round starts. So how this works is you have your hand, and this is where you can lay them out if you want. But you have your hand, and you can include the flipped over card in your hand to try to get these points scored. So you would go first in counting because I dealt, and the scoring. This doesn't help you get to 15 or doesn't give you another pair or anything, so this kind of doesn't really do much for you this hand, but you would say pair for 2, pair for 4, because a pair is worth 2 points, and the score you say is your total score, your running score. So pair for 2, 2 points, another pair for 2 points, so pair for 2, pair for 4. And that's your total because you can't really do anything else. So you would move up 4, and then I don't have anything. Oh wait, no I do. Because I can use the queen, I have a 10, jack, queen, king, which is a run, or a straight traditionally. So a run is worth however many cards are in the run. So this would be worth 4 points. So I would say run for 4, and then I would move forward 4 points. So now, that's the second part of the hand that you can think of. So now these are all done. These cards are done. We can discard these. And then what the crib is we can finally play the crib, which is the dealer gets it, and you get all these cards, and you basically do that second part of the round again. So you just get an extra chance to score. So how we're looking is, remember, aces are 1, face cards are 10. So this 2 doesn't look like it really does much for me, but I have the 15s I talked about. So 10, 4 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So 15s are worth 2 points, 15 for 2, and then we can swap this 4 out, because that's another combination. It's 15 for another 2, so that's another 4 points. So we got 4 points total from the crib. So I get to move my peg forward 4 again, and then can discard these, and then put them back in the deck, shuffle up the deck, and then the next person would deal. So it would be your turn to deal. And that process just repeats until someone gets all the way around the board and to 121. I hope that makes sense. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense until you try it yourself for the first couple times. It's one of those you gotta learn as you play. Excuse me. But I hope that makes some sort of sense. We'll do another hand. Hopefully a little better of a hand dealt. Huh? So 7. So I might not have the best strategy of what to keep and discard, but let's see. Try to take a moment, if you think you understand it well enough. What would you keep and what would you discard from both of these hands? And remember, in that second part of the round, you get to use the 7 to score for you as well. So remember that. So I think I would get rid of the 8 and the ace, and now I could have some strategy to not give you certain types of numbers. Like I wouldn't want to put a 10 in because it might be easier for you to score since you'll be getting the crib later on, but that's not super important. And let's see, what do you have? A 7, so that pairs with a 7. You have 2 face cards, or 2 10s. Which only helps if you have a 5, but you don't. So obviously the pair, and not much else. Oh, straight. So I would probably get rid of the ace and the 2, because then you have the straight and a pair. So now we'll start the pegging. So since you don't, I would start. I don't want to put down a 10 or a 5 because that would make it very easy for you to get to 15. So I'm going to try to avoid that. I'll start with a 3. So 3. And then you can try to make me not get 15. So you could put down a jack, so 13. And then I'd say probably 18, the 5. You could do 28, and I'd say go because I can't get any further. So you'd get 1 point for being the last card, and then we restart. So since you were last card, I go. So I'm going to say 7, and you can play this 7 for 14, and since you paired with the last played card, you get 2 points for a pair. So it's at 14. I play that for 24, and you have to say go, because if you play this, we'd be over 31. So I get 1 point for last card. You play the 9, and you get 1 point for last card. So I know that was a little quick, but the pegging part seems like the more straightforward part. at least in my mind. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, since you don't, I would count first in the second part of the round. This part of the round is called the take, according to the rules. So whether that helps you remember it or not, up to you. But so my scoring, remember we can use this card. So I have a pair for 2 points, and then I have 15, which is worth another 2 points, and then a 15 here, 10, 5, 15, and another 15 with these. So in total, that is a pair for 2, 15 for 4, since remember we say the running count, so 15 for 4, 15 for 6, 15 for 8. So I got 8 points. So I moved me 5, 6, 7, 8, and now I'm done. And how are you looking? You've got a pair for 2, and I think that's about it. Oh wait, no, duh. Pair for 2, and then a run for 3. 3 points for the run, so you'd say pair for 2, run for 5. So you got 5 points total. Move your person. And then you have the crib, so you have the 7, 8, ace, 2, ace. So how many points would you have here? So let's add them up. You got a pair for 2 points. This is 15, so another 2 points. And I believe that is all. So pair for 2, 15 for 4. So you got 2. And then after two hands, we are 1 point off from each other. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know. This is how we play. I don't know if it's the official actual rules or if there's some slight variations off of it, but this is how we play. When you're counting up your hand there in the second part of the round, or the take part of the round, you got to be sure that you are able to recognize the different combinations, because if, like you say, you don't realize that there's another way to add up to 15, nobody's probably going to call it out just to give you some extra points. So being on top of that part is important. And again, the different ways to score is being the last card during pegging is worth 1 point. Getting to 15 or 31 is both worth 2 points. A pair is worth 2 points. 3 of a kind is worth 6 points, and that's inclusive of the 3-way pair. 4 of a kind is worth 12 points. And then there's the run, which is however many cards you have in your run. So if you have a 4-card run, or 4-card straight, it'd be worth 4 points. 3 points. 2 doesn't count. And then if you have something, there's things called double runs, which I've experienced. I've never experienced a triple run. So let's see if I can pull one out here. So let's say you have, say you have here, this would be a double run. So you have the run for 3. You have another 9, so that's another run for another 3 points. And then you have the pair. So a double run is always going to be worth 8 if it's a 3-card double run. Now you can get 4 cards and all that. There's a lot of different combinations of ways you can score. But anyways, those are the main ways. And then if you have a flush, then you can get points for that. I don't know what that is exactly. And then I think there's a rule which we don't play when I play, but if this face-up card, if you have a jack of the same suit, then you get a point. But when I play, we don't play with that. So those are the ways you can score points, and that's how cribbage is played. So yeah, you just keep going around the board until you get to the finish hole, and then I think these are games. I don't know if it's usually a best of 7 or what, but that can make it long. And then this would be the same. You'd play it the same way if you had 3 people. There's 3 tracks here, so you can have 3 pegs. And the way I have usually played it is with 4 people, where you do this 2, and you sit across from your partner, and it's a 2v2 sort of team play, which is fun. But then you only get 5 cards dealt, and you only have to discard 1 of them. So that's kind of nice, less decisions that you have to make. But yeah, I hope you were able to at least grasp it a little bit. I hope I did an okay job explaining it. Haven't really figured out how to best explain this game yet, since it's one of those you really just got to play to be able to understand fully. So I hope it was entertaining, and pretty soon we'll play a whole game around the board together, and I look forward to that. Hopefully the best player wins. It's kind of neat. It's got a little slot in the back for the pegs to go in. So yeah, thanks for coming and learning cribbage.